I'd rather be with you. Yeah.
Hello les amis, welcome everybody. This is Radio Good Vibes, like every day since the beginning of the confinement at 12:19. You discover an entrepreneur that we love at the family. And why do we do Good Vibes? We do Good Vibes because we feel that we need some inspiration, some optimism, and of course to learn from entrepreneurs, especially during these hard times. And today I'm very, very, very happy to welcome Emna. Emna is the CEO of Kazidomi. And you'll discover Kazidomi. Basically, we're going to talk about e-grocery and health. And she's been working like hell during the beginning of the confinement. And we can't wait to hear more of her story. How are you, Emna?
Very good, very good. I'm pleased to be here with you. Thanks for listening to us with this beautiful sun outside. I can understand that. It's super nice to have you all there.
And it's holiday today. Huh?
It's holiday, yeah, exactly.
So thank you for being here, and feel free to ask any questions in the chat. We'll be happy to answer it, of course. Where are you right now, Emna?
I'm in Brussels right now. So I'm from Brussels, but I live between Paris and Brussels. But at this moment, due to the confinement, etc., it was easier for me to stay in Brussels, where I have my family, etc. My like the big office from Kazidomi is also in Brussels. So yes, I'm here.
Are you alone? Are you alone at the office?
Today, yes. yes. Nobody is working except in the warehouse, of course, where the people continue to prepare all the parcels. But in the office, yes, today I'm alone. But the other days I have like between 5 and 6 people that are coming, and the rest are still working from home.
Okay, Emna, what is the one-line pitch of Kazidomi? What do you do?
So what do we do at Kazidomi? It's the best. So the best, yes, e-commerce that sells healthy products at an affordable price. So we sell everything online: food products, cosmetics, supplements, etc. And every time, all the products are really with a good composition. We work with experts. To select them, to analyze the stickers, etc. So we really try to make the access to healthy products easy for people, because a lot of people, they do not really know what is healthy, what is not. They do not know how to read a sticker. So we help them by selecting the products up front. And the other thing is, we all know that eating healthy, consuming natural products is really expensive. So what we did at Kazidomi, we decided to change a bit the business model, and we implemented a membership. So it is a kind of a loyalty card that customers can buy on the website that costs 80 euros per year, and that gives access to discounts up to 50%. Sorry. So we really try to make healthy products affordable by allowing customers to buy this card, and then they have access to really super attractive price compared to what they can find in organic stores or in other supermarkets.
So today you operate in Belgium and France, and mainly?
Yeah, mainly 80%. Between 80 and 85% of the sales are on the French market. The website is also open to other countries in Europe, but of course, when you do not communicate in other languages, you can expect to not have as much customers as what you have when you communicate in French.
Yes, totally. And how many people have already subscribed to the membership?
We have almost 15,000 subscribers today.
Okay, and how many, just to get a little bit of an image of the better comprehension of the impact, how many products are there in the catalog of Kazidomi, and which part of these products are yours, your own brands that you've created, and the ones that you've selected?
So typically the number of products you can find in normal retail stores like Carrefour, etc., it's between 20,000 and 50,000. So it's really a lot. But at Kazidomi, we only have 3,500. And why only? You can say, yeah, it is a lot, but not compared to other retail stores. It's really not a lot. But what we decided to do is we do not sell fresh products, and in supermarkets you can see a lot of fresh products, of course. But for logistics reason, we decided to not do it at the moment. Maybe that's something we'll do in the future, but it's not currently on the website. And the other thing is we also decided to curate the product and to propose the best products to the customers. So, for example, let's take the example of tomato sauce. We decided to not offer like Carrefour 10 different tomato sauce, but only one, and this one will be the best with the cleanest ingredients, etc.
Yeah.
So we have a bit more than 3,000, and we decided also to develop our own brands. So we have a lot of products with the Kazidomi label, with Kazidomi recipes, etc. We do not produce ourselves those products. We work with producers, but we are like the only point in the we are the only intermediary in the chain. So we can directly select those products with the producers, have an impact on the composition and the recipes. We can decide ourselves what we'll put on the stickers, etc. And then, of course, as you work directly with producers, you can offer way better prices to customers, because you do not have a supplier, you do not have wholesalers, you directly sell it to customers. And the mission of Kazidomi was really to make those products more affordable. And if you have your own brands, you can deliver this promise to customers. And today we have a bit more than 5% of the catalog with our own brands. And the ambition is not to replace the whole catalog with our own brand, but to have 3 times more than what we have today. So at the end, the goal would be to have 15% of the products with our own brands.
Okay, cool. So it's really impressive to what you've been building. You started not so long ago, right after school, and I would love to know more about your own entrepreneurial path.
Yeah.
I'm sharing with the people who are following us right now the URL of Kazidomi and the Instagram. It's very impressive as well, the Instagram, because as you said, you started a brand. Kazidomi is not just an e-commerce grocery shop. It's really like you are sure by buying from Kazidomi that it will be both healthy, because it's curated according to certain criteria that I would like to know as well, and that it's affordable thanks to this innovation with the membership. So first, can I understand well the criteria? And I think it's related to your own story, and we'll go through your own story afterwards.
Yeah.
But just the criteria, when you select a product, what are you looking for?
Yeah, so we'll look at a lot of different criteria. One of them is health. So we will try to really select the products based on the composition. So we'll have a look at like sugar rates, fat rates, etc. We'll avoid, for example, products like palm oil, refined sugar, many different additives that are not good for the health. So we have established with a specialist list of exclusion criteria. And with this list, we can say, okay, we cannot accept these products, or yes, we can, but that's not the only criteria. Of course, one of the most important criteria is your customer. So we always ask, or we always make surveys, etc., to ask if customers are interested, of course, to the product, because if there is a super good product of good quality, etc., but nobody is there to buy it, it's really useless. So we always ask customers if they're interested in buying the products or not. And Alice, you were talking about Instagram. We have today 100,000 followers on our accounts. And that is crazy because every time we have a question that we ask ourselves in the Kazidomi team, we can ask it on Instagram. And for example, if we hesitate between a brand and another, or if for a certain brand we do not really know which products we want to take or not, we can always ask it on Instagram, and then we have thousands of answers from people that are buying on your website, and it can really give you kind of an idea of, is this product going to work or not on your website? So that's the second criteria. And then, of course, we always have a look at the environmental criteria. So, of course, if a product has a packaging that is eco-friendly and stuff like that, it's always better. We also privilege products coming from Europe and not from abroad. Those kind of stuff. But the list is super, super long, but that's really important for us for our customers to make sure they can trust every product that they buy on the website.
And that's the movement. That's the movement of today. I mean, thanks to Kazidomi, in a way, I don't even need to use Yucca because I know that the composition is already good because everything is excluded if they are not filling in your criteria. And the fact that you ask your customers if they want it or not, it's a way to your users to make them participate and really feel like they are actors of your brand. And that is the strength of Kazidomi, that they feel they belong as well to the construction of
exactly.
That's so smart. It's really the digital way to do grocery today.
Exactly, and that's super important. If you can really build a community with your customers and not only have a transaction with them, it's going to be really useful for your business.
Yeah. So how did it all started? So do you come from an entrepreneurial background? What your parents are doing? Are they entrepreneurs? How did you started Kazidomi? I know right after school, but why? Tell me all of that, please.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a cool story because I'm born in a family of doctors. So my parents are both specialized in nutrition, and I've always been passionate about it. I take supplements since I'm super young. I was used to check every stickers when I was a child. My father, typically, he was only reimbursing me the tickets from supermarkets if the products were healthy on it. Wow. So I was never, for example, reimbursed a ticket from Quick and stuff like this because that was not in his value. So I was really passionate about it. And the first time I said I want to launch something related to nutrition and health, I was 12, so really young. And of course, everyone was laughing at me and nobody was really trusting me. And at 18, I decided to go for a commerce school, a business school in Brussels, to actually become an entrepreneur and launch. I didn't know what, but I wanted to launch a project related to nutrition at some point. So I started the business school, and then I really chose all the classes related to entrepreneurship. And during my last year, I decided it was time for it. I had an idea. The idea was basically, it was really at first, it was really just an e-commerce selling healthy products. I didn't have already the idea of the membership, etc. It came after. But so I started working during my last year, and the first version of the website was actually live when I was still a student.
And at the very, very, very beginning, how did it all started? Like, what was your focus? You couldn't cover all of the product. Were you managing already the stock? Very first 3 months.
Yeah. So I was super naive because building an e-commerce is really not easy. You think it is because you see plenty of them, etc. But building an e-commerce, working on marketing, working on logistics, working on DIT, working on finance, etc. It's really a question of a lot of different topics. And when I was still at school, of course, I didn't have any expertise in e-commerce, in e-marketing, in logistics. So I started working a bit on the marketing, and then I had to deep dive into the logistics, etc. But how it started, the story is fun because I was actually super lucky. So I started first working on the website, and I went to Meetup. I don't know if you know Meetup, but yeah, you can find people who organize like a meeting with the skills that they have. So they will present, for example, coding classes, etc. So I went to a Meetup to learn how to code. So I spent several hours with someone who was explaining me how to build an e-commerce. And after a few classes, of course, I realized that it would take me like years to really build the website. And at the same time, I also had to do the marketing, to find the products, etc. So actually, I asked him to go for a coffee. And I told him I have no money at all, but I know you have some time, you have some spare time. No, because you don't have customers. So would you be ready to help me? And that would maybe help to add one line in your on your CV. And the guy, he accepted. So I was really lucky. He built the whole website. So the first version was, of course, very basic, but he built it for me. And that was a lesson for me, because if you don't ask, you never get. So you can really dare going to people, and you have plenty of guys outside who are really ready to help you. So that's for the IT. Then I had to find the first products on the website. And for that, actually, I was very, very, very stressed, because I had nothing. The website was not ready yet. I had no company existing legally yet, etc. So I went to different suppliers, and one of them, the first one that I wanted to take, was the biggest wholesaler of organic products. So I really had to get him. And I was super stressed of having a no. I don't want to have your products, to sell your products on your website. And actually, after 5 minutes meeting, the guy was like, okay, and can you also take this and those products and those products? And of course, he was a seller, because everyone wants to sell the products. So yes, it was a cool day for me, because at the end of the day, I had a partnership with a wholesaler, and not with a lot of different suppliers, because you can also say, okay, I'm going to work with every single suppliers and have relation with all the different suppliers, so all the different brands actually, but then you'll have to place order in each brand separately. So it's also a lot of work. So what a lot of small shops or small web shops do at the beginning, they work with wholesaler, and a wholesaler, they propose different brands or different kind of products. So I went to this one and to another one, and I managed to get 350 products, which is actually nothing. But yeah, I had a capital, a basic capital, not super high, so I really had to make a choice. And at the same time, I also had to pay a bit in marketing, a bit in IT, etc. So I spent for the first stock, I spent around 2,000 euros, and I bought every product in between 3 and 6 SE. So yeah, exactly. So I did that. So 2,000 euros, having like a few thousand products in a warehouse, it's not like a big loss if it's not working. And I was like, okay, at worst, if it's not working, I'll have enough food for my whole family in the next few months. So it was only dry food products. It was actually okay with a long time peremption dates. So that was okay. Once that was done, I went to logistics company because I didn't want to do it myself. I realized that really I already had a lot of work. I had to manage the IT, the finance, the procurement, etc. So I said, okay, I'm alone. The logistics, I'm not going to do it. Otherwise, the rest, I'll have less time to do it and to expand the website. So I found a small company doing logistics. I placed all the products I bought to the wholesalers to them, and they were in charge of preparing the orders, shipping them, etc. So that I didn't have to care about. And then once that was done, I started, of course, to think a bit about marketing. And actually, I had a lot of surprises regarding marketing because actually a lot of entrepreneurs, what they think the day I'll put online my websites, the sales are going to explode, etc. But it's really not like this. I remember the 1st September, I put the website online and I spent a whole day waiting in front of my computer for the first orders, and nothing came except, of course, at the end of the day, my father, who was a bit ashamed by me, and he placed an order just to make me a small platter. So that was actually kind of hard, and actually during the full month of September it was like this, and I was waiting, but without really putting efforts into it. And 22 of September, I woke up and then I saw around 25 orders on the website, and that was really crazy because the other days I only had 1 or 2, and most of the days even nothing. And I was really like saying to my boyfriend, "Wow, it's working now. I have a lot of sales." That's the beginning, and then I had to look at the name of the customers, and they were all my friends. And this day was my birthday, actually. And my boyfriend, he asked all my friends to help me a bit. And yeah, it was super nice from all my friends, but it made me so sad and it really made me realize that I had to do something. I had to like push it, put more efforts into it. And that's really the day when I started doing marketing, working on social media, putting some budget into Facebook campaigns, etc. And then it all started. I started improving the marketing. I got the first customers. I got a bit more money to expand the catalog and go also to cosmetics, to cleaning products, and not only into food. And then after a few months, I was able to hire the first employees.
Yeah,
that's how it started.
That's so cool. And today we can say that in terms of marketing, you're really good. I mean, Kazidomi is famous on the social networks, and the community is super engaged. How did you manage the relationship with the influencers? Like, what's the deal? How they got to work with you? How do you manage that?
Yeah. So one of the ways to do marketing is, of course, to work with influencers, and you have different kind of influencers. You have really big ones, and then you have smaller ones, and then you can select them based on like the community or based on the topics on which you're working. For example, healthy recipes or fitness or fashion, etc. So we selected influencers based on Kazidomi and based on what we do, of course. And then we said, okay, we don't want to spend money without having like impact and return on the communication, because influencers, you can really pay thousands of euros without getting anything in return.
Yeah.
So we decided to implement an affiliation system, a commission system, actually, like salespeople, and influencers, they are today paid based on the number of sales that they realize. So it's a big advantage for us because we only spend money if it's working and we don't if it's not. And for the influencers, what it doesn't matter the size that they have, the work that they do, etc. If they do their job well, if they communicate well, if they have a bigger community, etc. Of course, they will have a better gain. So
it's a matter of
them. It's also it's really, we have super loyal influencers that are working with us for months, even for years. So they really found something in the project, and the interests are totally aligned, because otherwise you can also say, okay, I'll give you 3,000 euros for this post this month, and then it stops. But that is really not working for us. And if you really want to build strong relationships, you need to find other ways. And I'm not saying that Kazidomi way is the best and you should apply it to your business, but you should actually, if you really want to have influencers that are part of your community, that feel engaged, etc., you need to find a good way to do it, and you should not do one-shot publication, but rather long-term partnership.
Yeah. So what has been happening during since the beginning of the crisis for you? Like, I know that in general, e-grocery has been booming. I know also for you, it's been like a lot of people joining the platform and starting using Kazidomi, discovering Kazidomi. How did you manage that, and what happened step by step, and what have you learned from this moment, this period?
It was crazy. Like when Macron announced the beginning of the I don't know how to say it in
confinement.
The confinement. It's the same. Perfect. Yeah, the sales were just crazy. Like people were really buying 3 times more than usually what they buy. So for us, in terms of procurement, it was really like a big shock, and in terms of number of orders as well, and in terms of new customers also. So it was really, really good for us, because like we really had super good sales, etc. We were lucky because we improved the size of the stock in the months before. So the stock of Kazidomi was big enough to have like a big amount of sales. But the problem was we did not expect it, and the team was not big enough to manage the orders, to manage all the phone calls, the emails, etc. So we had to hire very quickly and to onboard a lot of team members in the team during the crisis. And actually it went quite well, because we never had a lot of delays regarding orders or regarding customer support, etc. But it was kind of hard to put all those processes in place, to hire and to do interviews with so many people, to onboard them and to make sure they have all the information, because in normal time, like people in the team, employees, they have time to onboard, to train newcomers. But like during this time, it was really like a rush, and we had to do everything like really, really fast and be super quick to make sure customers were delivered on time, of course. So yeah, that was a bit
stressful.
It was actually a lot of work, but it was actually super exciting at the same time, because we realized the sales that we wanted to have, like end of the year. So I'm very, very lucky about it. We also realized that our current system has some limits, and we had to adapt it very, very quickly. We were lucky because the warehouse was big enough to manage all of this. But we clearly realized that regarding HR, process interviews, etc., we had to streamline it to make sure we had something like way better for the future in case that happen again. We should be able to hire faster and to train faster. So typically what we did, we now have like list of people we know we can contact in the future if that happens again.
Learning a lot, and
Yeah,
you've been
of course.
like really doing tremendous progresses during this short period of time because you've been forced to do it.
Yeah, sure. And actually, that was a good experience, because very often when you reach a certain size, you start having the same kind of answer as in a big company. So yeah, but that's not priority, or that's gonna take a lot of time. Let's put that in 6 months, etc. But yeah, that's not how a startup is working and what a startup is able to do. So yeah, we really had like the startup modes. And everyone was working super hard, and yeah, we realized that things that could have taken normally like months, they were done in a few days if we were really pushing into the work and working hard on it and thinking fast. So so yes, it's important to do some sprints and to make sure your projects are realized on time and fast. So that was for the logistics. And then of course the other team that was super affected by it was the customer support. Of course, if you have like 2 or 3 times the sales, you also have 2 or 3 times the same amount of requests. So we had to automate a lot of things. We went from like a really basic system to today a lot of automation. We changed to Zendesk. You probably all know it, but yeah, that really helped us. But without this crisis, we would probably have waited for a few months before doing it. No, everything is done. The work of everyone working in the customer team is way easier. Yeah.
And you, Emna, I know that you were working so much that you've even been sleeping at the office.
Yes, actually, but I was happy about it, because it's super exciting when your baby is growing so fast. So actually, it was not a hard time for me. And I live in the center of Brussels, but the office is outside Brussels. So at some point I was like, okay, I'm working until midnight, and I woke up between 6:30 and 7. Why should I go back home? Like, it was really useless. So I decided to take a mattress and put it in my office. So I spent like a lot of nights during the last 2 months sleeping in the office, taking shower in the office. But yeah, I had to stop like 2 or 3 weeks ago, because employees were coming again in the office. But,
but you will remember these times. I mean,
of course, yeah.
And so, how do you see the future right now? How do you see the post-COVID era? Like, just, I know you're not here to tell me the future, and no one can give me the future. But what do you feel? What do you see from your standpoint?
Yeah. Actually, it's going to be plenty of surprise. I don't know if like the crisis is really finished. The confinement has stopped, but of course there are super high probability that it can start and happen again, and people need to stay home again. So I think the end of the year will be like very complicated and with plenty of surprises. So we'll need to we really need to continue to adapt the processes. We really need to continue to hire people to make sure we can deliver our promises to customers. So that's very important. I also think that e-commerce is going to explode, and that's also a lot of analysis and reports are showing it. E-commerce is really working better now than in the past. So I expect to see it growing. And of course, health. You can see that all the brands related to health, they are growing very, very fast. Why? Because coronavirus, of course, it's a problem related to health. If you don't have a good health, good shape, etc., you have higher risk to become determined. So I also expect that the health sector is going to boom in the next months.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think we are already at the end of this conversation, Emna. It was really a pleasure to have this conversation. I have two last questions. The first one is, who among the entrepreneurs from the family or not, do you like to call sometime or to just to ask some advice?
Yeah, I'm very lucky because my uncle is an entrepreneur. He started from nothing, no money, and today he has one of the biggest exhibition company in the world. So he organized a lot of events for B2B and B2C, and he has today more than 800 employees. And it's a company he owns still at 99%. They do a lot of profit, etc. So he really did an amazing job, and the guy is very terre à terre. I don't know how to say it in English.
Down to earth, pragmatic.
Down to earth, exactly. And yeah, very often when I call him, he has very, very good advice. The guy is really like, okay, how are you gonna reduce the cost, or how can you improve the margins? How can you make sure that the valuation is better so that you don't have to be too much diluted, etc. Because today you know that a lot of startups you talk about grow, you talk about raising funds, etc. But like at some point you also need to make some profit and realize what are the real things you need to work on. And yeah, the guy is so amazing and has really good advices.
Cool. And finally, what's your favorite song, the one that you listen to make you feel good every morning?
Actually, it's Savannah from Diviners, and it's the song I really like to put when I go for running. Savannah, yeah, this one exactly.
Okay. All right, cool. Thank you very much, Emna. It was a pleasure. For the ones who are still here, you can now start going to network if you click on networking. And tomorrow, I have an interview on Good Vibes with the founder and CEO of King.com. Candy Crush and all these games, like very, very, very big success. So be welcome tomorrow for this interview as well, for this Good Vibes. And that's it. Thank you very much. See you, Emna.
Thank you.
Soon.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. And go to